Paul, then that takes me to another element that I motivate people to do, which is to dare, to really jump into the opportunity, because you may actually see the event in front of your eyes and you may recognize that it is an opportunity, but you don't have yet the resolve to take on and dare to take action. For example, you may be walking in an airport and then suddenly a person comes by that you recognize, and you know it's an important person that you wanted to meet. Maybe it's one of your Facebook friends, someone that you wanted to meet in person and have a discussion, and you have the opportunity right there. It's right there in front of you, walking, but you have a second to decide. And that, what I say is, when you see that situation, dare, go after that, take the step, touch on the shoulder of that person and say hi, do it, and then things will unfold. So you do have to dare. Is that something that you also transmit to?
Absolutely. It's fear is such a interesting thing, because mostly, I mean, there are some legitimate things that we need to be afraid of, but most of the things that we're afraid of are things that we've just created in our own minds. And that's, I think, one of the things that I was trying to convey in my book, Begin With Yes, is that we've been so conditioned to be tentative or to hesitate or to not go up to that person. And so you need to actually, by practicing this Begin With Yes, sort of change your mindset. So when you're presented with those opportunities, that you say yes to those opportunities and you tap the person on the shoulder, you say hi. Sometimes, and I'm finding this more and more, actually just smiling at people is a wonderful way to engage people and say yes. And it's incredible, just the good energy that comes from smiling at each other. But there are so many relationships that are established because you took the time just to look somebody in the eye and say, and smile and say, I recognize you as a fellow traveler, and it's nice to meet you. So by all means, it's you can't make fear necessarily disappear, but you can recognize that that's just a feeling and choose to ignore it temporarily. And certainly going up to someone at the airport, tapping them on the shoulder, nothing horrible is going to happen when you do that.
And that brings me to a very interesting, almost magical feature of taking action from a place of awareness, which is the concept of synchronicity. And it's one of the things that I am personally most surprised about in most cases with the people I coach, because even I find that there is a magic sometimes with how events are aligned, almost as if they were on purpose to benefit the person that I'm coaching. And when they come back and they tell me, Javier, what happened? Did you do this? No, man, I didn't do any of that. You know, it just happened the way it happened because you are aware of your actions, you're paying attention to the right things, and then those actions make other things unfold naturally. But now you're in tune with this. And so you take advantage of it because your mind, body, and soul is prepared. And so that is basically the concept of synchronicity. And I actually wanted to ask you if you had the same experiences with the people you help.
That's where probably my greatest joy comes from in working with people, and really more recently just engaging with people who are reading my book and who are seeing their lives change. I paraphrased my book Begin With Yes as a short conversation that will change your life forever. And that sounds a little grandiose, but the feedback that I'm getting from people that it is really changing people's lives. And what you describe as magical, I think that's a beautiful word for it, because it is magical, and I can't exactly explain why that happens, but I know that it is predictably something that's going to happen once people begin to move in this direction. And so great, I find it a great amount of joy coming from getting back to people as they begin to move in that direction, and that direction is in whatever direction they choose to move in. That's moving them closer to their goals or closer, through challenges that they're facing. But that magic does begin to happen, and it just is very, very predictable and very exciting. I do think that a piece of that is some kind of shift that happens internally, where you begin to focus and pay attention to things that are happening around you. I personally believe that we're surrounded by miracles happening all the time. We're just not paying attention. And when you become a little bit more conscious and a little bit more deliberate about it, and you begin to pay attention, you just begin to see the wonderful things that are happening around you that you just missed before. So I think it's in part something that you're contributing to and adding to that increases the magic. And in part, I believe the magic has been happening all along. You just weren't noticing it or paying attention to it.
Paul, I have another key question. Why did you write Begin with Yes? What was the reason that made you take this decision? Writing a book is such an industrious labor that I find it always interesting to ask what took you to put pen to paper and feel that first piece of paper there and make it into a book?
That's a great question. For me, as a CEO of a nonprofit that serves people with developmental disabilities, I've had wonderful opportunities to speak to groups about the work of our nonprofit, and I found that over the years that there were some common themes in the speeches that I had been making, and the themes really were all about Begin with Yes. I also recognized that I have this passion to connect with as many people as I possibly can, and that's why I love Facebook. The fan page on Facebook has been exploding the last few weeks, and more people are joining that page because there's some really good energy, and there's just something about having something, and I felt like I had something important to say, not more important than what other people have to say, but said in a slightly different way that might resonate with a group of people, that I really felt this passion to begin getting it down on paper. And once I began, and that's one of the beauties, someone once said to me, Paul, the word begin is just as important as the word yes, and I couldn't I couldn't agree more with that thought. So taking that first step, once I found that had taken that first step and written that first sentence and written that first page, that it really just took on a life of its own, and it just moved forward. And the actual writing of the book happened in a relatively short period of time. Creating the thoughts that went into that book were probably a lifetime of work and joy and working with people. So it just all came together really, really nicely. My passion right now is about helping people who are unemployed, giving them the tools that they need, because I know how frustrating it is. I know the world economy has suffered. There are a lot of people looking for work, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get this Begin with Yes message into the hands of people who are struggling to find work. And I've been actually giving my book away to people who can't afford to buy it, because I feel like that's setting in motion something very positive that will in a circular way keep this energy moving. And I think from my personal perspective, there's an energy here, it's been set in motion, and I'm going to do everything that I can just to keep it moving. And as I've done that, it just more and more people are helping me do that, and more good things are happening, and it's just very, very exciting to be part of it.
Well, Paul, it's been truly a pleasure, and I actually thank you for taking the time and being a part of this action movement that we have started in Just Action. So we hope that we can join forces in the future, maybe for your second book. We'll do another interview soon. And you have a home here in Just Action to talk about anything that you would like in the future.
It's been a real joy for me to finally connect in person through technology. And I promise you, if I see you at the airport, and I hope you promise me the same thing, that you'll tap me on the shoulder and we'll get to give each other a hug and connect in real time.
Absolutely, that's guaranteed.
Okay, thank you so much.